Ciao and benvenuti. Today I'm making an Italian crumble tart with ricotta, lemon curd and pistachio. A little bit naughty, but absolutely wonderful. I just finished pouring some self-raising flour in a food processor. Do not worry, all of the quantities and the measurements will be listed in the description, and also in the first comment there will be a PDF with the recipe. Next ingredient is sugar. This is normal granulated sugar. It goes in. And butter. Make sure that your butter is at room temperature. Next I'm adding a little pinch of salt, followed by 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And I'll close my food processor and I'll turn it on just for a few seconds to mix everything together. Literally no more than 10 seconds. You can see that all of the ingredients have been blended together, and as the batter was at room temperature it didn't go all lumpy. Now breaking in an egg. This is sunflower oil, and I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons, approximately 25 milliliters. And I'll go ahead, and assuming I can put the lid on, I'll mix it once again. Again, depending on the power of your food processor, no more than 20 seconds, 30 seconds max I would suspect, but this is all done. A piece of cling film on my worktop, followed by my mix. And if you take a look, the egg and the sunflower oil have done their magic, and this is nice and crumbly. And what I'll do next is very simple. I'll just get the cling film together like this, and I'll squeeze it together to form a little ball. It's no different to making a sand ball, but I'm pressing it quite hard, and that's it, ready. And I will place it in my fridge for 20 minutes to rest. I mentioned ricotta, and here it is. I have got here 250 grams, which I purchased from the supermarket. But whenever I bake with ricotta, I always push it through a sieve. I could have actually done with using a bigger sieve, never mind. And that will make the ricotta even fluffier. And in all fairness, this is actually quite moist, but if you were to make your own ricotta, like I do, I'll put a link up here if you're interested, it will be even drier, so make sure that you push it through a sieve. This is icing sugar, and I'm not blending it together. You will not need to use a food processor or a blender for this, as the icing sugar will soon be absorbed by the ricotta. And that is it. In no time at all, my ricotta and icing sugar are blended together. Using some butter, I am now greasing the baking tin, which I'll be using to bake the cake. And I've done the entire surface of the base, but also the edges, just like this. This is like a baking paper. It's already cut to size and also is reusable, very, very handy. So I'll place that at the bottom. I'll put a little flour there, and I'm not turning the tin so that the flour covers all of the edges, and this will prevent the cake from getting stuck to the tin. Actually, I made a very similar tart to this last year, and I used blackberries alongside ricotta. Today I said earlier that I'll be using lemon curd and pistachio. The lemon curd I'll be using is something which I made, it's a homemade. And what we tend to do is, if we're baking and we're using the egg whites, for example, and we have some of the yolks left, I'll make lemon curd, so there is no waste. There is a recipe on how you can make your own lemon curd. I'll post it up here as well. There's going to be quite a few links in this video if you're interested to make your own. If you're not, you can also buy it at the supermarket. As it happens, I'm not sure if I've got enough, so I'll got this in reserve in case I need it, but I will let you know the quantities, of course. So my dough has had a rest, and I can remove it now from the cling film. And I'm going to find the halfway point, and I'm going to cut it just over so that I will use the larger part for the base and the smaller part for the top. And here's my baking tin, and using my fingers I'm going to firstly apply it across the entire base. And I'm now building up the edges, and what I do, I use my thumbs against the outside of the tin so that it stays steady, and then using my fingers I will just go around and patiently start building it up. And if you get the odd little hole, just go back and patch it with your fingers. And that is perfect. It is more or less equal across the entire surface. So next I'll go a fork, and I'll just go along and I'll pierce a few holes across the base like this. And I'm ready to add my fillings to the tart, so I'll start with the ricotta first. And as I mentioned before, it is lovely and smooth and very, very easy to spread it across just using a spoon. And next is my lemon curd. And I'm going to use a big spoon to pick it up, and a little spoon to spread it on top of my ricotta, just like this. And actually I've got plenty of my homemade lemon curd. There is no need for me to open a new jar. And I'll combine everything together so that I get a nice and leveled surface. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a crumble tart, so I'm now going along and using the remaining of my dough and literally I'm crumbling it on top of my tart, just like this. And do not worry too much about the size of the crumbles, it doesn't really matter too much, they can be smaller or bigger. What is important is that you cover the entire surface, just like this, like I'm doing now at the moment. Also mentioned pistachio when I introduced the recipe earlier. Pistachio is one of those very commonly used ingredients in Sicily to make lots of cakes and lots of desserts, but also pistachio ice creams. If you go to Sicily, you must try pistachio ice cream, it's absolutely delicious. Anyway, I will be deshelling a good handful and I'll see you in a minute. These are roasted and unsalted, by the way, but I'm going to be putting them through my little mini food processor first. And I'll give them a very quick whiz. And that is perfect. And if you take a look, in less than 5 seconds, they're perfect. And they remind me of what they sprinkle on top of ice cream in Sicily. If you were to go to Sicily, have a chocolate ice cream and ask for some pistachio to be sprinkled on top. I suppose you can do that in this country also, or anywhere in the world. And because they're crunchy and they've got obviously lots of flavor, these are roasted by the way and unsalted, they make a big difference. Back to my tart, and I'm randomly applying a few blobs of lemon curds on top. If nothing else, it will give me a good excuse to finish the jar. And I'm not sprinkling my pistachio on top, but I will leave some in case I want to sprinkle some more after, once it's cooked. And this is ready to go in the oven. However, I will not be baking it until tomorrow, and that is because I'm getting 3 different recipes ready for tomorrow, as tomorrow is Mother's Day. So I'm starting very much with the dessert, and next I will be doing also a Tuscan style roast, and also I'll be doing some potatoes. I'll be doing 3 different videos, and in each of the recipes I'll post a link to those videos if you're interested. So this will be going in tomorrow at a temperature of 180 degrees for about 30 to 35 minutes. So I'll get on with the next video, and I'll see you tomorrow to see what this looks like. Ciao ciao for now. Buongiorno and welcome back. So as planned, my tart went in the oven for 30 minutes at the temperature of 180 degrees and has been out now cooling for about 15 minutes, and it is actually safe to touch. So next thing is to get it out of the little tin and then do some final decorations. I have however noticed that it's a little bit wobbly, and most probably because of the amount of liquid. There is ricotta there, but also the lemon curd. So I'm going to be extra careful when I get it out to avoid any disappointments. As it has been cooling down, it should be a little bit easier, but I'll play very safe today. So I'll put a little plate on top, very gently I'll turn it around. I'm giving the bottom of the tin and the sides a little tap to ensure that the cake is properly dislodged, and very carefully I'll start moving it out. It's coming off. Oops. Not too bad, a little has come off, and I was right with my assessment. So you can see also has created this little indentation, which is because of the liquid. So I'll now do it the same in reverse. So plate goes back on, and very gently I'll move it the other way. And I'll move the plate, and yeah, it's worked. It's not perfect, but it is a crumble tart after all. So nothing that cannot be fixed using your fingers or your hands, if you are that bothered. But I'm very pleased. And I'm ready for the finishing touches, and I'll start with a little icing sugar first. And if you remember yesterday, I reserved a little bit of my pistachio, so I'll sprinkle that on top so that gives a nice greeny color. And the set for Mother's Day is ready. All I've got left to do is to cut the slice so we can have a look on the inside to see what it looks like, and of course taste some. But I'll leave that for a little while. I'm doing some other cooking, and then near the time we can take a look. So see you in a little while. And as promised, time to try a slice. It does feel nice and soft in the middle, but very crunchy at the edges. And time to take a look. Ooh. There, look. Is it my ricotta, my lemon curd? Yeah, it looks good. I think it will be very tasty and successful. I will not be tasting it because we are about to go and eat. I'll tell you what, I'll have a little crumb as I promised earlier. And it's really delicious. I also mentioned that this dessert is for Mother's Day, and I'm going to show you what else I've cooked. Here, I've got here a very slow cooked beef roast. I'll just move this out of the way. And the reason why I'm showing it to you is because there will be 3 separate videos for each course, and this is just finished and it's lovely and tender. Cooked for 3.5 hours. And there will be a video somewhere up here. On and off you will see the odd card popping up, and if you want to make this, it's there as well. And the last thing I made to go with this is a torte, a potato torte, which is here. It's made with balsamic vinegar, thyme, also Parmesan cheese and cheddar. And I tested it earlier in the other video and it's absolutely to die for. Again, there will be various cards if you want to make it, and entirely up to you. So that's the end of my cake video. Make it and let me know what you think. It's absolutely delicious. A little bit naughty, but sometimes a treat doesn't matter too much. Arrivederci, grazie, and buon appetito. Ciao.